Yo, how are we doing, everybody? So today I'm doing a guide on the boss fight versus Nightmare. So this boss, you can find them southeast in Savalon. They're just in this upper outcropping over here. So this boss, when you first can come across it, like right when you come into chapter 1, this boss is way too powerful. It is way too strong. This is not something you want to fight immediately when you get to it, because at this point your stats are just not high enough. You're way too low level. This boss is 100% just a gear check. Like, I would suggest coming back to fight this boss after you finish chapter 2. So yeah, like, definitely push this off till later. If you do have the levels, if you do have the gear, you have the stats, this boss fight's pretty straightforward. I'm just using jobs here from the prologue in chapter 1 because I don't want to give away things for anyone that's looking up this video because they're stumbling across this monster and trying to figure out what to do. But yeah, so my loadout here, I'm just going to be using a white mage, subbing bard, and then 2 monks and a black mage. So obviously there's so many ways to deal damage in this game, so anything works. This is just what I'm using here. This boss doesn't have anything you really need to be worried about except for the counter white magic abilities. So again, I don't want to spoil it, but there are other healer classes you can use later in the game. So obviously if you use those instead of the white mage, you'll be taking less damage. So, you know, keep that in mind. As far as damage healing goes, this is a common strategy you can use with any physical attackers, but if you use the bard, you can increase the physical damage that you inflict, and then obviously if you have multiple physical attackers, that damage will just really scale. And I'm using 2 monks here, so they will be able to do a lot between the pressure points and the focal blast. Versus with the black mage, he will not be able to utilize that buff. But again, just for most bosses in general, it's generally a good idea to have a mix between physical and magical attackers. Because some of the bosses have counters, and those counters may change throughout the later phases of the fight. So what started off good in the beginning might end up being bad as you get towards the later phases in the fight. So do keep that in mind. As far as the monks go, I do think it's better to use Focal Blast first and then the pressure points. Because Focal Blast has a chance to reduce any stat by 20%, so there's a chance that you reduce Nightmare's physical defense by 20%, and then you'll be doing more damage. Though, in general, like, I guess in this specific instance, because I'm using Pressure Point, it doesn't really matter, because Pressure Point doesn't get the damage increase from the that drops as it just pierces through defense and pierces through defaults, which is a very, very useful ability. And then yeah, the boss can heal itself with Darkra there. So again, if you're just not able to deal a lot of damage, if you're too early game, you can have a lot of trouble fighting this boss. But yeah, it's very straightforward. If you do reduce the boss's magical defense with the Focal Blast, obviously, then you'll be able to do more damage with the Black Mage with those Blizzagas. The boss does have Poison Breath. It deals decent damage. It's going to hit everyone on your team and has a chance to poison. So if you're wearing any gear that prevents poison, that can make things a little bit easier for you. But yeah, that will be my guide for this fight. Again, it is very straightforward. This guide is really here just for a sense of completion, as I'm doing guides for every single boss fight in this game. If you're interested, make sure to check out the playlist. I will link in the description down below. But yeah, that's going to be me. Peace.